All right, Larry Kruger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. What we learned from week one against the New York Jets. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove. Call Anthony Catania at 831-521-5264. All right. And of course, Mancini's Sleep World is a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Mancini's offers a 120-night guarantee with a range of brands and price points. With Mancini's, you get free next day delivery. Click the link below or go to sleepworld.com. Find a bed that works for you, whether shopping online or visiting in store. Use the code KRUG10 and you'll get 10% off. Once again, that's KRUG10 to get 10% off in store or online at sleepworld.com. All right, let's talk a little bit about the 49ers and what we learned in week one. All right, a couple things that I think that we learned is that we learned that the 49ers are an elite football team. I mean, they were going up against the New York Jets. The Jets have Aaron Rodgers, a future Hall of Fame quarterback. They have Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, two really good weapons. They've got a defense that was a top-tier defense a year ago, and the Niners were not the most efficient team in the red zone. If they didn't settle for 6 field goals, they might have hung half 100 on this defense. So I would say right there, the 49ers are an elite team. If you can hang almost 50, I mean, they scored 30-plus points on a really good defense with settling for 6 field goals. Imagine if they actually turned a few of those field goals, half of them, let's say, into touchdowns. They would have scored 40 points easy. They probably could have scored close to 50. So the 49ers are an elite football team. On both sides of the ball, they're very explosive. They got a big-time pass rush with Bosa, Floyd, and Hargrave up front. The Niner D-line looks, I would say that was the other thing that we learned is that the Niners defensive line and offensive line are much improved. A lot of people know Eric Armstead's name, but Eric Armstead's game had gone south, and his body had kind of fallen apart on him. And the Niners replaced him with Malik Collins and Jordan Elliott and Leonard Floyd up front. And I think for sure the 49ers have a better defensive line today than they did a year ago. So they're upgraded there. Dominic Purdy has been an unbelievable find. Purdy played fantastic as a rookie going up against Quinnen Williams and Javon Kinlaw in his very first start on national TV, Monday Night Football. Purdy really handled himself well and only give up, I think, 1 pressure all night. He's really solid and a nice plug and play player at right guard. So Dominic Purdy plugging in at right guard, and Elliott and Collins and Yatir Gross-Matos and Floyd stepping in for the Niner defensive lineman that moved on at the end of the year. The Niners D line looks upgraded. The Niners O line looks upgraded, and that right there means they're a far better team than they were a year ago. All right, what else have we learned? We learned that Brock Purdy was almost flawless in this game. I mean, the one thing with Brock Purdy is he knows this offense, and so much about what makes great quarterbacks great. Everybody talks about make a play, make a play, make a play. Oh, this guy made a play. That guy made a play. It's also about not making negative plays and avoiding making negative plays. I think Tom Brady has made a whole career on avoiding negative plays. And Brock Purdy was flawless in this game as far as negative plays. I mean, there were no turnovers, no fumbles, no interceptions. He took care of the football. So, Brock Purdy, if there's one weakness in his game is he tends to turn it over a little bit too much. If he can minimize his turnovers and if he can eliminate turnovers, he's a tough guy to beat. He's 18-4, by the way, in the regular season. So Brock Purdy was flawless in this game. He took care of the football. He got them into the right play at the line of scrimmage, out of the wrong plays at the line of scrimmage, no turnovers. Really, and when he plays a mistake-proof game, a mistake-free game, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's going to win a lot of games. So I think that's what we learned about Brock. JP Mason, I think we learned that he is a starting caliber running back that could start for 20 teams in the NFL. This guy's 235, 240 pounds. He deals out punishment. He was fantastic. The numbers on JP Mason were outstanding, but he looked great. He's got contact balance. He's got explosiveness. He's got acceleration. He's a real legitimate starting caliber back, and the Niners have had him in as a backup role. I mean, heck, let's be honest about this. The Niners have been so loaded that this guy's not even been the number 2 guy. This guy's been number 3. It's not even number 2. So now he's going to get on the field. He's going to play more, and what a legit back he is. He was fantastic. He had his career night. I don't care if they told him he was going to play 17 years ago. I don't care who told him what and when. I thought what we saw at the podium was criminal in that. I mean, here's a kid who's just had the greatest game of his career as a pro. He should have been up there celebrating. Instead, he was like pissed off because he'd just been yelled at for saying the wrong thing. And it's like, how about this? How about don't talk that much and just run, because the kid's a hell of a back and he's going to start in Minnesota on Sunday. And I've been saying it for, he's a starting caliber player. I mean, it really makes the fact that the Niners got to the winner's circle last year with Christian McCaffrey at less than 100%, just the most idiotic thing of all time. You could have taken carries off of McCaffrey last year and given them to this kid and probably had a healthy McCaffrey in the playoffs, probably could have had a fresh CMC in the Super Bowl, and you probably would have won the freaking Super Bowl. So that one is a bitter pill. But whatever, better late than never. They figured it out. They've got a starting caliber guy in Jordan Mason. And, bring on more Jordan Mason carries. I'd love to see a little bit of Isaac Guerrero too, but Jordan Mason, to me, was the revelation of week 1. And then I would also say that Nick Sorensen's plan worked really well. I thought the front and the coverage were tied together all night long. They made adjustments. I felt like, the Rodgers came out with a short passing game and had moved down the field and scored an early touchdown. I felt like the Niners adjusted from there. They did a nice job at stopping the Jets run game. Rodgers, a Hall of Fame quarterback. They did a nice job at slowing down Garrett Wilson, and Rodgers didn't look all that comfortable in the second half of the game. So, Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. And the Jets have a very good running back with sub 4.4 speed. They got one of the 5 or 6 best receivers, I think, going as far as young receivers in Garrett Wilson. And yet the Niners took him apart. Niners scored 32. And if they'd just been a little bit more efficient in the red zone, could have scored 42 easily. So, to me, those were the takeaways. I was impressed by Sorensen and the defensive effort. I thought the Niners looked like, they looked like they had a good plan, both up front. I seemed like all 3 levels of the defense played pretty solidly. JP Mason is the revelation of week 1 for sure. Brock Purdy was clearly flawless from start to finish. The Niners O-line with Purdy at right guard is dramatically improved. The Niner defensive line with Malik Collins, Leonard Floyd, Yatir Gross-Matos, being added to the mix. I think they've upgraded there. So the Niner O-line looked upgraded. The Niner D-line looked upgraded. And I think probably the big takeaway is that this Jets team is not awesome. They're not the Chiefs. They're not the Ravens. They're not even the Texans. But guess what? They're probably in that next tier. They are probably an AFC playoff team that has a Hall of Fame quarterback and a really top level rugged defense. And yet the 49ers blew them away, just blew them away on a night where they didn't play particularly well as far as efficiency and scoring touchdowns in the red zone. They settled for 6 field goals and still blew them away. So it just kind of shows that, what are the Niners going to look like in 3 weeks when Ayuk shakes off the rust? What are they going to look like in 3 weeks when Trent Williams shakes off the rust? What are they going to look like in 3 weeks if Christian McCaffrey gets to rest his Achilles and actually plays? How much better would the 49ers be in 3 weeks if all of a sudden they have McCaffrey and Ayuk and Trent Williams all playing it near 100%? So to me, that the number one takeaway is that the 49ers could have put 50 on the board against one of the best defenses in the game. So the Niners offense is hugely explosive, and we know that secondary is improved. I would say the only negative, you say, give me one negative that you didn't like in the game. They've backslid on the Dre Greenlaw to Devondre Campbell. I mean, Devondre Campbell's all right, but he ain't Dre Greenlaw. So we can't wait for Greenlaw to come back. And I would have loved to have seen the Niners not go for Campbell and, retain a guy like Jalen Graham, who went to the Commanders at the cutdown. But beggars can't be choosers. We'll take it for what it is. But yeah, I would say that stood out. That's really what stood out. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the proud sponsor of the Krug Show, the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Mancini's Sleep World for sponsoring this video, and thanks to Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles as well. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.